Hello there and welcome to Disney Movie Investigations. This is case file number 2561, 101 Dalmatians. So for those of you that this is their first time watching these videos, what we do is we take a Disney movie every week and take a deep dive and closer look at its past, its current history, as well as its future. So like I said, today we're doing 101 Dalmatians, the 1961 original film that was released on January 25th, 1961. So this was directed by Clyde Germani, Hamilton Luske, and Wolfgang Reitherman. And the story was done by Bill Peet on the adaptation of the novel 101 Dalmatians by Dottie Smith. So the budget for this film was $3.6 million, and it ended up getting a box office return of $303 million. And that also includes re-releases as well. So definitely a huge film in the Disney history. But before we look at its current placement, let's look at its production history. So Dottie Smith was the original author, and she wrote a book called The 101 Dalmatians. And this was written in 1956. And Walt Disney ended up reading this novel in 1957 and immediately was drawn to it, thinking it would be one of his animated features that he could do an adaptation. So he obtained the rights, and him and Dottie Smith ended up exchanging letters back and forth, kind of exchanging different ideas about how this was going to be made into an animated film. And Dottie Smith actually said that she was always hoping that Walt Disney would make this book into an animated film. So Disney assigned Bill Peet to the story, and this was actually a first because normally the stories of these animated films would be done as a collaboration between Walt Disney and a group of writers, but this was the first time that Bill Peet did the entire story by himself. And then changes from the book was Cruella de Vil had a husband and a cat in the novel by Dottie Smith, but those were eliminated, and Perdita was a combination of several characters from the book. So it was just simplified into one character. And then Walt Disney himself was not as involved in this as other animated films. This was at the time around 1957, 1958, where he had other projects on the go. Like he had just opened Disneyland, as well as he had television commitments, and he was doing his prep for the Florida project, which would become Walt Disney World. So the script was sent in to Dottie Smith for approval, and she actually commented that Bill Peet had improved her original novel, and she was delighted with it. So a big, huge thumbs up from Dottie Smith. So in terms of the animation, this was actually an important film because this was the first film after Sleeping Beauty. And Sleeping Beauty, unfortunately, was a box office disappointment, and it was hugely expensive, and it was a long, drawn-out process that took years to make. And so there was talks of the Sleeping Beauty being the last Walt Disney animated feature. But then Ub Iwerks came up with a really good idea. Ub Iwerks, for those of you that don't know, was Walt Disney's longest collaborator. He was the original animator on Steamboat Willie. And Ub Iwerks thought an idea that would save money and time, and what he thought of is he would take an old Xerox copier and kind of modify it a little bit so that they could transfer the original animated drawings onto the cells. And for those of you that don't know much about animation, what they used to do is they would take the original drawings and they would have ink and painters transfer the drawings onto cells. So they would either retrace it or redraw it, and then they would paint it all by hand. And this took a lot of time and a lot of money and a lot of patience, as well as the animators, the ink and paint department were worried about kind of screwing up these beautiful drawings. So it was kind of nerve-wracking as well, the women that were doing these transferring. So by transferring it directly onto the cells via Xerox, this saved a lot of time and a lot of money, as well as the advantage was you could see the lines more defined on the Xerox copies, and it just kind of created a more clear-cut image. And the animators were really happy about it too, because they felt that this was the first time that their actual drawings were going to be seen on the screen. The disadvantage was it lacked that lavish hand quality paint look that the previous Disney films had been a feature of them. So Walt was not exactly thrilled with this idea, but he realized that this was a necessary evil in order to cut costs down, and in order to save time and get these films out a little bit quicker. So this film is mostly known for its villain, Cruella de Vil. And I just thought I would go through a little bit of Cruella de Vil. So this Cruella de Vil was animated by Mark Davis, and he was one of Walt's original 9 Old Men. And that was actually his last animated film that he would work on. And then afterwards, he would be transferred over to work on the parks. And Mark Davis is widely known for doing a lot of the concept art for Pirates of the Caribbean. Cruella de Vil was voiced by Betty Lou Garrison, and she had done numerous other Disney films. She's most notably known for being the narrator in the animated Cinderella film. And in terms of the design of Cruella de Vil, it was mostly an original design done by Mark Davis. The only thing that was kept from the book was her hairstyle, the black and white kind of parted down the middle thing. That was from the book, but everything else was originally designed. So the unique part of this film is this is the first Disney animated film that is not primarily a musical, which is kind of unique because Roger is a songwriter in the movie, or in the film, so you would think that there'd be tons of songs, but actually they scaled back on this one. And Mel Levin was the composer for both the music and the lyrics for the songs. And the main songs are Cruella de Vil, obviously, and the Dalmatian Plantation. But they actually did have 3 more songs that they planned to use, but ended up not making it. So the first one was Don't Buy a Parrot from a Sailor. And this would have been sung by Jasper and Horace while they were watching the Dalmatian puppies. The second song that was deleted was Cheerio, Toodaloo, Hip Hip. And this was going to be sung by the Dalmatian puppies on their way back to London after escaping Cruella. And then there was a second version of this called March of the 101 Dalmatians. And again, this was going to be sung by the puppies after they escaped the truck. And almost like one of the final songs before Dalmatian Plantation. And then the other unique process of this film was the car sequences. So they actually built a black and white little model car, and they would actually film that going across a bed sheet, and that was how they filmed the car sequences. And it was quite unique because they would show the actual movement of the car, and the one scene where Cruella's stuck in the snow going up the hill, they actually did that by putting sand on the sheet and filming the car going up and down. So it was really unique for the time. So now that we know the production history, let's take a look at the plot. So Pongo and Pernita have just had a litter of 15 puppies. Sorry. And Cruella de Vil has taken a fancy from them as she is trying to make a dogskin coat out of Dalmatian puppies. And after being turned down by the dog's owners when she was trying to buy them, Roger and Anita, Cruella de Vil hires Jasper and Horace to steal the puppies. And now Pongo and Pernita must do everything they can to retrieve their stolen puppies. So this the initial release of this film gathered about $14 million, but they were so impressed with this film that they would continue to re-release it throughout the time. And this was before home video, and what Disney would do is they would re-release the films every 7 years into the theater, so you would get a second shot to see it, and this would keep the film alive in the public's mind, as well as it was a great way to earn income from a film that they had already released. So that was obviously before home video, and they still do that with home video now. They'll re-release the DVDs and everything every 7 years, but yep. So in terms of legacy, there was a live-action remake of this film in 1996, starring Glenn Close as Cruella de Vil. I've already done a previous video on that, so for that one, you guys can check out the previous video. As well as there was a sequel to that one called 102 Dalmatians, which was released in 2000. another video I've already previously done, so feel free to check those out. There was a direct-to-video sequel in 2003 called 101 Dalmatians 2, Patch's London Adventure. Again, I've done a video on that one already, so please feel free to check that one out in the archives. There was several video games spanned on this film. The first one being 101 Dalmatians Paint Studio, which was released in 1997 for the home computer. And this wasn't necessarily a game per se, but it was a add-on to your computer where you could add different fonts and different backgrounds and borders that featured the 101 Dalmatian styles to your document. So you could create a letter with Dalmatian borders on it. And then in 1997, also for the computer, they released Disney's animated storybook featuring 101 Dalmatians. And what this was, it was a retelling of the film, but it featured animated sequences along with the narration. And then in 1997 as well, big year for 101 Dalmatian video games, they released Escape from Deville Manor, and that was a retelling of the 1996 film with Glenn Close, but it featured the character designs from the animated film. 102 Dalmatians, Puppies to the Rescue was released for the Sega Dreamcast and the Sony PlayStation, and again, this was the storyline was from the 102 Dalmatian film, but it featured the character designs from the animated film. And then the last one is 101 Dalmatians 2 Patch's London Adventure, was released for the PlayStation, and it followed the film, the story of the direct-to-video film. The 101 Dalmatians have also had several TV series, animated and live action. The first one being 101 Dalmatians, the series, was lasted for 2 seasons on ABC as part of their Saturday morning lineup. And it followed directly from, it started directly from the first film and had different TV adventures from there. The next one was actually a British series called 101 Dalmatian Street. It was released on British TV and Canadian TV, and then now it is on Disney+. In terms of parody, there is a Simpsons episode called 2001 Greyhounds, and this was aired on April 9th, 1995. And this is parodies several elements from 101 Dalmatians, as well as other Disney films involving dogs. But it's a great kind of storyline that pays tribute to 101 Dalmatians. Once Upon a Time, the television series on ABC, Cruella de Vil is featured as a character, and she's a villain, I believe, in one of the later seasons. And Pongo is also a character. He doesn't talk, but he is featured as Jiminy Cricket's pet, and kind of a nice little tribute there. In terms of the theme parks, there is no 101 Dalmatian attraction. Cruella is a walk-around character, and you often see her during Halloween parties. She does come out from time to time, especially when they're re-releasing the film. There is, though, in the All-Star Movie Resort, there is a 101 Dalmatian themed building where you can see 2 giant statues of Pongo and Pernita, as well as the rooms are themed to 101 Dalmatians as well. Oh, and sorry, I thought I'd go back. In terms of television as well, the Disney Channel original movie, The Descendants, also has Cruella de Vil featured as a character in that film as well. So in terms of final thoughts, I think this is a great contemporary Disney movie. They do a lot of things that are unique at the time. This is the first time, if you notice, that they actually have a Disney couple that are affectionate to each other and actually touch each other, and it's not all just kind of like not all separation and everything. And then it's a unique story because it takes place in an undefined time. Like, you can show this movie now and it would appear, there's little things, but like it would appear almost contemporary. And then just, it's a great story, great fun, great kind of action mystery story, which was unique at the time. So yeah, I just think it's one that you should definitely check out. I think it's kind of just one of those Disney classics. So in terms of Disney collection, I thought I would show you. This is my 101 Dalmatians steel water bottle. So I got this at the Disney store. I thought it kind of unique collection. There's not a lot of 101 Dalmatian merchandise out there. There is some, like there's Disney dollars, there is a little Cruella de Vil cars, and then there's plushes, but there's not a lot. So I thought this was kind of a unique little item. So that'll do it for 101 Dalmatians. Thank you guys for watching. I just wanted to add some housekeeping business. So the first thing is that we have our September bonus poll, which is out right now, and the voting is still going. And being the month of September and back to school, we thought we would do back to school movies. So the 4 choices are Ferris Bueller's Day Off, Mean Girls, The Breakfast Club, and Bill and Ted's Excellent Adventure. So please vote in the bonus poll. It does make a difference, and you guys get to choose which bonus video we do for the month of September. And that'll do it for 101 Dalmatians. I just wanted to add a side plug. My friend has started a new video podcast called the Blue Sky Lounge. I will put the link in the Facebook page for you guys to check out. Definitely one, I think it's a unique video series that he's doing. I actually do appear as a guest on that. I believe he's going to do it on the 2nd episode, where I talk about the potential concept of a Roger Rabbit's Toontown in Hollywood Studios. So definitely one to check out, and I will put the link on. And then the next case file is going to be Alley Cat Strike, which is the Disney Channel original movie. So I look forward to seeing you guys on the next video, and I hope you guys have a great week. Bye.